Alright guys, Hayzink here, welcome back to the channel for another Street Fighter Duel video. And in this video we are probably going to be talking about something that might come as a bit of a surprise to some people. I'll be completely honest, when I found this out last night it didn't really come as a surprise to me, and I'll prove that. But if you were watching my videos lately, you'll know that I said to you guys, it was during one of the Cycle of Fate videos, that we were talking in the creator chat about how the event formats are going to work, and I said that I thought what was going to happen was we would get one big event, so like we did with Monster Hunter Ken and Akuma, and in between those events we would get like sub-events with non-special banner type units. So previously we had Street Poison, this time we've got Vega. Even though he's Divination, he's not classed as a special unit. And those would sandwich between bigger events, okay? And we were told last night that the next event that's coming, it's going to be advertised on the 3rd of May. So what's that, Wednesday next week? And they're going to start teasing who it's going to be. And it's going to be a collab unit. So most of you will probably already be able to figure out who it's likely to be. However, it's not confirmed. Okay, so it might not be this unit, but it's probably going to be this unit. Okay, I've got to say the caveat, because I've been told that if I mention this, I've got to say it's subject to change, okay? But this right now is what we are looking at being our next event unit, and which will obviously be our next event as well. So for the people who don't know, realistically, it should probably be Dante, okay? There is a chance they are talking about global exclusive units. I don't think, as far as I know from discussions, they're not far enough along on that yet for it to be a global exclusive collab that's coming up. So it really does look like the next unit we're going to receive would be Dante. Okay, now that would make sense as well, because he was the next collab unit that came in all the other versions. Now some of you might think this is a bit early. I cannot lie to you and say that I don't think it's a bit early. However, I did fully see this coming. So you can see there, like in March I said it, about 8 days ago I said it, this was in the creator chat. The top message is from my own Discord, the message below that is from the creator chat. So back in March I said I can see them dropping Dante within like 2 months. It's just a hunch based on nothing but gut feeling. I'll explain what my gut feeling was and still is in a moment, but I can just see it happening. Then 8 days ago I said, if we have the monthly big unit, they, the devs, will want to strike while the iron is hot. I'll explain what I mean by that as well, because pretty much they both mean the same thing. And I can't help feeling Dante will drop within like 3 months of Ken, so my gut feeling is leaning towards him either being the next big event unit or the one after. So that lines up with, if this is what's going to happen, he is the next big event unit. So most of you probably would not have thought that we would get Dante coming this early, and I'm guessing that some of you might wonder why I did think we would get Dante coming this early. I'll explain that to you. It's a positive or it's a negative depending on how you look at things, right? First off, the gut feeling, and also the part I said about striking while the iron's hot in both of these messages. What I basically meant was player numbers, right? So for the good or the bad, I feel like Street Fighter Duel has a bit of a reputation, okay? It certainly does. Like, there is a lot of people talking about it's not free to play friendly, it's quite expensive and stuff like that. No matter what way you try and cut it, that long term is going to put off casual players who come across that, right? It's going to potentially put off people who are currently playing and spending. They might not want to continue spending for much longer. So what I meant in essence was by saying strike where the iron's hot, or have a gut feeling, in my head I was basically thinking, if they are going to potentially want to maximise the amount of profit they can make on collab units, they are going to try and release collab units as early as possible, because if they want to maximise the revenue that they can make from these units, then releasing them earlier in the game's life cycle is likely to generate more income than if they release it in, say, 6 months' time, and at that point, maybe, just maybe, speculating, 50% less people are spending on the game, so you're not going to make as much money. So while people might think this is a negative thing to say, because that's all people think I do, talk negatives, right? But at the end of the day, this 100% seems like a cashing in your chips moment. Not cashing in your chips to walk away, but just cashing in your chips to take out the maximum withdrawal amount that you can possibly make from the player base. Now, while I'm excited for Dante, I find it very hard to believe that I'm going to get Dante, because based on Monster Hunter Ken and based on Akuma, we know this unit is going to be difficult to get, right? Now, going back to something that Dino said earlier, when Monster Hunter Ken came out, and I think also when Akuma came out, to be honest, these special units that are like collab characters are not geared towards free-to-play players. They are geared towards people who are going to put their hands in their pocket and spend money. Right? We were never originally supposed to get a free copy of Monster Hunter Ken, and the language that was used when we did get that copy of Monster Hunter Ken was very much a this is a one-time deal kind of thing. Now, that's not to say that there hasn't been discussions behind the scenes, and maybe they're going to make the Devil May Cry collaboration if that is what it's actually going to be, if it's not like some global exclusive. But there's nothing to say they won't make the Devil May Cry collaboration more free-to-play friendly. I'm just very, very much tempering my expectations, because what good faith have I really got to place in things just now? Like, obviously, Monster Hunter Ken was Monster Hunter Ken. Akuma, no pity on the banner, ridiculous, trying to get copies of the unit. You know, at least you could get currency, but could you really call it a win if you couldn't have any much hope of pulling the unit? Then obviously we've got the issue with new divination summons, where it looked as though there was pity before. Like, there's just so much evidence to suggest that no one went more than 8 rolls to get a copy of a unit, to now people are going 15, 16 more, sometimes more, without getting one copy of the unit. So it definitely looks like something's changed there, although they say that nothing's changed, but it seems sus to say that when there's so much evidence. Everything right now has been kind of pulling back on your chances of getting a unit, so would I really want to believe that we're going to have much of a chance of getting this unit unless we spend money? No, I don't. And as crazy as this sounds, you guys will probably hate me for saying this, but the reality of the situation is, if you are someone who's going to spend to get Dante, it's likely going to use its own currency, so like devil tears or whatever, right? So it's likely going to use its own currency, or is it soul orbs? Is that what it's called in Devil May Cry? It's likely going to use its own currency, right? And if it does, you want this event to be like the Monster Hunter event. And that sounds crazy, I know. I know it does, right? But the reality is, for a spending player, Monster Hunter event, because of its tiered pity where you were able to claim copies of the unit from that tree, was actually easier to get the unit to a usable level and cheaper than Akuma. So, as mental as it sounds, if this event is going to be pay to win only, then you kind of want it to be like the Monster Hunter event, which sounds bonkers because obviously that event is widely regarded as being awful for regards to summoning. But if you were to ask most spenders now, would you have rather summoned Akuma that style or the ticket style? I think most people would say that style, because it would have cost them less to max out the unit. None of this is really good news for free-to-play players. I would like to think they have learned from the Monster Hunter event. Fingers massively crossed. But when there's been statements made that these units are not designed for free-to-play players to be able to get to SSS quickly. In fact, there's a post doing the round on Reddit. I've seen this said, but I never shared it. It's from Dino to some guy called John or something, which is my name, but it wasn't me. Saying that by design, unless you get really lucky, the developers have made the game in such a way that it's going to take you 6 to 12 months to get a unit to max level. Realistically, are you going to be able to do that with Dante? Even getting them to a usable level without having spent money? Probably not. Probably not. So, like I say, it's exciting that he's coming to the game, but how much excitement can you have for a unit that potentially maybe only 1 to 5% of the player base are actually going to go for? Because you've got whales who are no longer whaling, you've got dolphins who are no longer dolphining, and you've got free-to-play players who just feel completely run through the mill at this point. Again, I feel like the launch of this unit is more geared towards maximising profit than anything else. Some people might call that milking global. I don't know, it's up to you what language you want to use. I feel like it's probably a smart business decision, to be honest, because again, if you've got more of a pool of spenders, you're going to make more money, simple as that. But for, I'd say, mid-tier spenders, after Akuma and stuff like that, if they maybe just spent on him quite a bit, I feel like this might be a bridge too far, and this is too soon. I think this collab should probably have came maybe 6 months time, like into the game, not like total on top of this. I mean like half year point, like the half anniversary or something like that. It would be a good time to have released this unit. Who knows? I mean, maybe it's not going to be him. Maybe it's going to be some global exclusive collab unit that they are working on. The talks that I've seen about that, actually, they've never really named anybody again, so this is like just been speculation, but it seems to be more geared towards not what you would expect, actually, like not talking about other Capcom IPs and stuff like that. So whatever it is they've got in the works, I mean, it could be decent. I mean, it really could. I mean, it could be terrible though. I mean, it could be someone like fucking Logan Paul, for all I know, that pops up in game, although that seems unlikely. You know, I'm just saying that we don't 100% know what it's going to be. All we know is the next collab unit, the next unit that comes is supposed to be a collab unit. They're going to tease it on the 3rd of May. We know from looking at other versions that realistically it's most likely going to be Dante. If it is Dante, it's most likely going to cost you money. And I mean, it's good. I really don't know how to take this news, honestly. I don't know whether to position it to you guys as it's good news, because I'm not even going to get this unit. So, like, it's hard for me to get excited about a unit that I know I'm not going to get, because, I mean, there's no point. Like, if I can't get 14 copies minimum, what's the point? Because unless I can get vehicles on him, unless I can get him to SSS, he's never going to make it in my team. And then, even then, if he's only SSS, he would have to be exceptional to take off other units who I've got on my team that are SSS plus 5, you know? So, yeah, it's difficult for me to get excited about it. I mean, it's cool. It might bring in new players, which ultimately I think is the goal here. But, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I want to know how you guys feel. What do you think? I know I'm going to get all the Hayzink, you're always negative. I think someone put a comment on my channel today to say, is this just the Street Fighter Duel hate channel? I'll say now what I always say. I wouldn't speak about anything negatively if they didn't do bad things. Like, simple as that, you know? If the decisions that were made in game were good, if they were player forward, if they were not on the surface level greedy seeming, then I would have nothing negative to talk about. So, you know what? If you don't want to see negativity, make them not make poor decisions in the game. It's as simple as that, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the event. I'm hoping, at a minimum, we get enough to do a multi or two. I'm hoping that they decide, you know what, we will just give them a copy of Dante, like we did with Ken. So, the collector in me will at least have him in my box. Would I like to get enough copies to be able to use the unit? Sure. If the system comes out and has got no pity, will I summon? No chance in hell. If it has pity, will I summon? Possibly. I've never made statements or anything to say I'm not going to spend on this game, right? Because I like the game. Believe it or not, I like the game. If Dante has a system that seems like it's achievable, it has a lowish or a reasonable amount of pity, if he's a good unit, then I could see myself summoning for him. But again, it has to offer value. The banner has to offer value. The chances to pull him have to be there. As long as all that lines up, then you might end up seeing me getting this unit. But I'm not going to hold my breath right now. I am excited for it. I'm just really turning into a pessimist with regards to new additions being made. And I'm really hoping that this time they have actually learned from their mistakes. I honestly thought after Ken they wouldn't do it again. But the problem is, I've said this the whole time, the only thing companies listen to is when people stop spending money. And the little guy like me, who you might think I'm a whale, but I'm not. Like, honestly, whales are like, whoa, way beyond. And the thing is, they haven't stopped. They are in a loop where they're basically competing with themselves and they cannot help it. I've literally seen people saying, I'm not spending any more in this game. Then 3 days later, they were showing off pictures of their SSS5 Akuma. Yeah, sure, you're not spending. Well, where the hell did you get that from then? These people are who the developers care about, really who they cater to. And if they continue to spend, it doesn't matter if I boycott, if you boycott, if other people boycott spending. They're still spending. These decisions are being validated and they'll continue to do it. So, will this be more friendly than Ken was? I massively doubt it, but I'm really crossing my fingers. I'm really rooting for it, because Devil May Cry is a huge IP. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it's a bigger IP than Monster Hunter. You guys might know better than me. But I really hope it's a better event for all players than the Monster Hunter event was. Huge copium on my part, but we'll find out. Anyway, next unit's going to be teased on the 3rd, which is going to be a Wednesday. So what I would expect to happen would be you'll get a coming soon picture, probably the next day or 2 days. You'll get a countdown, much like we did for Ken. There'll probably be some sort of a share event. Then the unit will drop in the game the following week, when we've been basically 2 weeks between Akuma finishing, and that'll be the new thing that drops. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if you think it will be Dante, which it probably will, or if you think they'll drop a new unit. Like I say, there is discussions about global exclusive collabs. They've not confirmed anything. All I know is I said, please push for it not to be the usual suspects. And what I mean by the usual suspects is Attack on Titan, 7 Deadly Sins, RE0, all these things that you see in every single game going. And what I was told was, it's not the usual suspects. So, what could it be? Have Crunchyroll leveraged their anime arsenal? Or have they reached out to other game developers? Could we be seeing things like Cloud, Sephiroth? Is that what we're talking about? Or Are we talking about seeing stuff like maybe Fist of the North Star? Anime that don't get done all the time, but people would appreciate anyway. Or are we going to get Sonic? Anyway, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll catch you in the next one, dudes. Peace.